Howdy and hello. Little soggy in here. Yeah, well, right over there. Had to turn the Red Door Studio into the hope I don't get soggy as hell studio. Oh, little spider. Got him. How y'all doing today? Me? I'm doing fine. Except for it's soggy. Alright, so, real quick. As per normal, if you're under the age of 21 or easily offended, go. Leave. You don't want to be here anyways. There won't be anything here for you that you're going to enjoy. And I promise, I won't feel bad about you leaving. Okay, everybody else? Howdy. Glad you could be here with me today. From all parts. In case you're wondering, today's cigar is a small cigar from Punch. It's actually a really interesting, cheap cigar. Well, I'm glad I could help. Okay. Interesting statement here. I am just tailgating for Yardism's show. So when Yardism gets his show set up, ready to go, I normally boot everybody out of here. This one's a little weird because it's raining. I didn't bring out everything, being that I do this outside. I normally watch off of a tablet to make sure that when somebody else's show starts, I end. But yes, those little bell notification systems are awesome. Now, just as a curiosity, if you are going to hang out with Chad, that's awesome, because this is kind of what we do. If you're not familiar with who Chad is, of course that's Yardism. He'll probably stop by before he gets his show up and running. He tends to. This show, not quite as interesting as Mike or Chad. Think of it more like a tailgate. If you've never been to a college football tailgate or a professional tailgate, that's, if you think of it like a tailgate, it'll be much more interesting. Oh, and I gotta turn on the Wi-Fi. I think I'm having a delay between me and you. Alright, so the Punch Classico is actually one of their small votives. It's a decent cigar though. I like doing this one when I'm not trying to really get it going. I forgot to tell everybody my favorite phrase. And by really get it going, what I'm saying is, when I don't feel like sitting around for 2 hours, 3 hours, smoking cigars, what I will do is get a smaller cigar. This would be technically a little bit longer than a Rothschild. So it's not a Rothschild. It's too fat to be a Lancero. It's a little bit too long to be a Robusto. Robusto shouldn't stick out almost 2 knuckles past my hand. It should only stick out about 1 knuckle past my hand. So everybody's hand's going to steam. Nobody seems to copy other than y'all are getting some bad internet drops or what? Either turn on or turn off the Wi-Fi and see if that works. Now, a lot of people will tell me that I'm crazy when I knife cut, which is what I did. It's probably me. It was probably me. I tried turning on the Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi was saying that it was an unstable connection. This app works better with Wi-Fi than the last one I was using, but if the Wi-Fi is unstable, it's unstable. Okay, so this cigar will last me, while I'm talking, right at about an hour, maybe a little longer. If I'm not chatting with anybody, I can get this cigar, this particular cigar, to disappear in about 35 to 40 minutes. But that's me. Let's see, what does that say? 5.5 by 45. So it's still technically a Robusto. But it's a long Robusto. Now, if I'm really looking to try and enjoy the cigar and not worried about whether I'm chatting or if I'm going to have to maybe run away from the weather, I will definitely go for a Gordo size, which the Gordo size technically just means fat. I like it. 60 ring gauge, 6 inches long. See, now a Robusto is supposed to be 5 inches long. Toro is 6 inches long, roughly about the same ring gauge. That's why I said it's a long Robusto. So this will probably go an hour and 15, maybe an hour and 20 minutes if we're just sitting here chatting. But type in any questions you got. Both pipe tobacco, pipes, cigars. I know a lot more about cigars than I do about pipes and pipe tobacco. But if your question's like, hey, kind of a general knowledge question, I should be able to help a little bit. Such as, how do you clean an extra long stem if it's got a little bit of a plug? Well, I was an electrician. I go get a long piece of copper and I ram it through there. Okay, yes, I can actually explain pretty well about the... Okay, so burley and perique are both burley. So that's actually a strain of, it's a strain of tobacco. It would be like planting a field of corn, but knowing that you've planted blue corn. That would be perique. You've planted a very specific burley. Or for other burleys, you would go back to corn and say that you've planted sweet corn or red corn or maize, that is the speckledy one that's various different colors. A Virginia, again, that's a specific strain. Virginias do not have to be raised in Virginia. Just like a cigar that is called a Connecticut does not have to be raised in Connecticut. They are strains of specific tobacco species. And that's as far as I'm going to push that species knowledge. But so for cigars, they do something different. They go with each plant has 13 leaves. And the highest leaves, the ones up near the bud, are going to be called Ligero. And if you're looking at a cigar and you see really dark leaves, those are going to be the Ligero. Not talking about the wrapper though. We're talking about what's on the inside. If you see the Ligero, really dark, thick, think of it like perique. Ligero is like perique. It will create a certain amount of strength. And the aging process for Ligero and perique are kind of similar. Perique's a long process, but if you'll remember that perique is a dark and powerful blend, and you think of Ligero as dark and a powerful leaf, then you're going to be pretty close to understanding what that is. Now, there are going to be some leaves that I'm going to miss on the cigar knowledge here, because I'm not going to try and kill you with this information. There's one called Media Tiempo, And to get those, you really have to know exactly what you're talking about, and I'm not wanting to misrepresent my knowledge here and tell you a slight wrong, but media tiempo is a very, very thin leaf that is actually above the ligero, that is normally created by leaving the flower on the plant. The problem is normally they wilt and die, so they have to be picked individually, and you have to time it perfectly, otherwise it's going to be horrible. There's 2 cigars I know of. Howdy, Step and Skip. I'm sure you do miss this sound. I'm betting you know what it is, too. The magic water that falls from the sky. So there are 2 cigars that I know of that use media tiempo. Both of them are actually produced for Monte Cristo. One is the Churchill only size, and it is a H. Upmann 175th anniversary cigar. And I'm going to tell you, that's a dynamite cigar, but you gotta like a good Maduro. Okay. Let's get out of specific types of leaves and go back to what I think you're asking about, though. There is Maduro, sun-grown, shade, Connecticut, stuff like that. And I believe that's what you're asking about, because people tend to know a little bit more about that. So what a Maduro is, it actually means fermented. And that's exactly what they've done. They've taken the strain of tobacco that they've had grown at some farm, and they hang it up in their drying barn, and then when it gets to a certain dryness, they drag it inside and they leave it in bales, loose. They don't tighten it up, because tightening it up will actually catch it on fire. But they age it, and they age it, and they age it, and it releases various different chemicals that are natural to the tobacco leaf. Actually, formaldehyde and ammonia is released mostly in the aging of a leaf into a Maduro. And when you get a dark leaf as your outer wrapper, that's a Maduro. You will normally get chocolates and vanillas and leathers out of that flavor from a Maduro. Now you go to sun-grown. What happens with sun-grown is they've found a section of their field where the sun, as it comes up and comes over and then settles back down, for almost the whole day, that section of the field is in the sun. Now, of course, there's clouds and stuff like that, but those areas that are truly out in the sun from morning until evening, they call that sun grown. And that will produce certain flavors and certain strengths because of how much sugar will be produced. One way or the other, all tobacco produces a sugar of some sort. And I'm going to get into more of that sugar here in a minute. Okay, now for one of my favorites, shade. And everybody's like, shade, what in the heck? What they do is they literally erect a certain amount of tarps and various thicknesses and various opacity. It still allows some sun to get to the plants, but it eliminates a large portion of the sun, so it slows down production of certain things. One of those things is sugars. If you're not wanting your cigar to have very much as far as a sweet natural flavor, then shade is the best way to go. Also, if you're wanting to do a Maduro, it tends to be that you want to use a shade-grown leaf. One of the biggest usage of shade-grown is going to be out of Drew Estates in their undercrown line. They literally say shade-grown. Shade-grown is going to be what they make their Maduro out of. I've talked with these guys. If you ever get a chance to go to a cigar lounge and talk to either Cohiba reps or to anybody who is associated with Drew Estates, I'm going to suggest doing that. You can ask them. They will give you better, more detailed answers than I can. But I'm trying to keep this inside of an hour too. Just, if you're going to go, make sure you buy some of their cigars, because that's a good way to get them to talk to you. And they will talk to you. They're interested in you. It's their company that's interested in your money, but they're interested in you. They really are. Every one of them. It's the damnedest thing. Okay, and then we go into Connecticut. Connecticut is your lightest color leaves. My Thanksgiving was great. I really had a great time. Still got a fridge full of leftovers though. In fact, I'm stuffed. Okay, I'm going to make the biggest truthful statement that I can make to you. I'm still at Connecticut leaves. If you will tell me 5 pipe blends that you like, I will suggest to you 1 or 2 cigars that you will probably somewhat enjoy. Whether they have them at your shop or not, I can't guarantee that. But I'm pretty good at picking cigars. So Connecticut leaves. Connecticut leaves are tendency to be grown outside of traditional cigar leaf growing areas, and then they are aged for much less time. In fact, I'm going to pick up a leaf here. This would be considered a natural. Something that is the color of this leaf would be considered a Connecticut. Howdy, Mike. Hey, there is not a time schedule, not specifically. Now, Steph, I know you like your foo-foo cigars, but from what you're saying about what you're liking on your current pipe smoking, I've got feelings that we need to really sit down and just discuss this. But yes, if you are, let's see. I'm going to give a for example. If you tend to like Escudo, I would suggest that you will probably like Padrones. That's cheating, I know it is. I do happen to know somebody who's here that likes Escudo and says that his favorite cigar is Padron. Oh, whoa, wait. I've been doing this for about 2 years. I have yet to have a perfect show. But let's ask Mike from Briar Blues. Mike will straight out tell you he's never had a perfect show. He's got 7,000 followers. I mean, if a guy who's as polished as Mike is, as smooth and as informative as Mike is, hasn't had a good, solid one show that went smooth and perfect, I don't have a chance in hell of doing it. So once you get past that, you just have to sit there and say, you know what? I have a topic I want to discuss. I have the ability to do it. And good enough is going to still get it out there. And you got to remember, nobody on that side of that screen can take my birthday away. What's the worst they can do? Give you a thumbs down. Ooh. If they start trolling, you can just basically put them on block or never mind, or skip right past them and not discuss anything that they want to discuss. Oh yeah. Seriously. Tonight, you need to be on Over a Pipe. Now, I started right around 3 o'clock my time. Over a Pipe will be on at about 8 o'clock my time. He comes on right after Cane Rod Piper. And we could literally take bets. This man works so hard to put in a great show every week. And then something just goes, and then it turns to crap on him. And it's glorious. Sometimes it's kids. It's always one kid anyways. I call him Marty. Marty McFly. But, yeah. Hey, Martin's got a great show and a great channel. But when it goes haywire, it goes haywire in epic proportions, and it's just great. Now, here's something that I completely agree with Mike. Put your videos out there, but don't then go back and rehash because you're like, oh, it wasn't perfect. Put a year's worth of videos together, then go back and watch the first one. And go, man, I have actually progressed. I've done better. I've made a product now that is actually worth watching. As you do this a little more, each time it gets a little better. If it ever gets perfect, worry. I don't think I'll ever have anything to worry about, but that's because I have a hard enough time just being myself. I agree with Mike also. You will definitely hate the first ones, but I also agree with Steph and Skip. I know it's just Steph, but Steph and Skip. When you get some of the, all right, I'm going to say it like I say it. Sooner or later, you're going to get some asshats that just want to talk smack to you. If you don't know them real well, ignore it. If you know them real well and they're talking smack, if you don't like it, ask them to stop. If it's me and I'm talking smack and you don't like it, ask me to stop. It's pretty much simple. I get on everybody's thing. I crack jokes. I talk. I try to get the whole crowd going. It's one of the best parts about this is we get that rapport going, and then we start feeling like, hey, we know what we're doing with chatting now, and it seems to make the next show go that much smoother. I'm not sure if it does, but when you're able to immediately have 8 or 9 people joining your chat, it's nice. Oh, I'm not going to say that one, Mike. Almost got me, but I'm not going to say it. Okay, so as long as you're not too worried about someone talking some trash, quite literally, you put out whatever you want to put out there. I'll knit or crochet and have. I dare people to talk smack about it. But I'll also talk about alcohol, things that you might want to pair a cigar with, things that you might want to pair a pipe with. I'm kind of a jack of all trades, master of 3. I'm not going to say master of none. I'm pretty good at baiting. That's why on the description of all my videos it says, if you are easily offended, this channel's not suitable for you. And personally, my advice to anybody who is easily offended is to remind them that you set out to get offended, otherwise you wouldn't have been offended. Now, one of the things to worry about with the Punch cigar that I'm smoking out, it is going to be strong. Punches do tend to be strong. If you do not like a good strong cigar, really stay off of the punches. Almost all of them are, I mean, that's what they're known for. They're known for having a strong cigar. Now, their older ones are not as strong as some of their newer ones, including one of my favorites now, the Diablo. If you're going to smoke the Diablo, rocking chair, 2 fingers of bourbon, you might as well be comfortable. When you try to get up and you sit back down because your legs are wobbling, it's not the bourbon talking. It was definitely the cigar. So did I get through most of what you were wanting to know about cigar leaves, or would you like more detail on any of that? Or, I mean, I condensed it a lot, and I know I condensed it a lot, so I'm not trying to cram information, because shit, I could talk about it for days. I'm just on here for an hour, so I don't really have days. But I will gloss quickly, or we can really do a deep dive on that and get into as much detail as you really want. But my most important rule for a pipe smoker in the world of cigars is think of any dark leaf as Perique, not Cavendish. The tendency is the darker the leaves, the stronger the cigar is going to be in nicotine strength. It can be flavored several hundred different ways, and that might affect what you're tasting. Now, if you're wanting a Latakia, the only thing that I know of that works as a Latakia is the Drew Estates brand that is known as Kentucky Fire Cured. And all of their leaves are flue cured, very similar to Black Cavendish, but they have the flavor like a Latakia. So Mike, I know you're not going to want that particular cigar, but if you know somebody who's a real Latakia fan, Kentucky Fire Cured from Drew Estates, they're going to like it. And if you're wanting something kind of like the Orientals or the Virginias, you'll want to go more to the Connecticut's. Now, by saying Orientals, I'm not talking the Latakia. I'm just talking about the Oriental strains of tobacco. Tends to be that those are lighter. They're not going to have the same flavors. don't even think that the flavors are going to be there the same, because a Connecticut cigar is still going to taste like a cigar, and a Virginia is still going to taste like a Virginia, and they don't taste the same. But if you're looking for the strength of a Virginia, as like a straight Virginia, then you would want to go with a Connecticut cigar. If you need to have top of the line, I would suggest Davidoff, because most everything made by Davidoff is a Connecticut. There are 3 cigar labels that they make that are exceptions to that rule. The Late Hour, the Yamasa, and the Nicaragua. That's it. So now, if you are an aromatic and you want flavors, acid, CAO, actually there's 3 or 4 lineups from Drew Estates, but there's also CAO and Huva Ilta, Boris. Glad to see you could make it today. So if you're needing an aromatic, what you're looking for in cigars is you're going to want to look for something that says it's infused. Now, there are actually more infusions in cigars than there are in aromatics. Sounds kind of strange to say that, but I've been looking up some facts. They can infuse certain things into cigars that they still haven't figured out a good way to do it as far as pipe tobacco. One of the proofs of that is the whole acid lineup. They've got 17 different infusions. It's one company. Now, normally you'll see something like it's vanilla or cherry or something in berry, or they have cigars with all those flavors too. But they've been doing it with cigars actually very, very well, and that's the reason I'm saying there's actually more cigars that are infused than there are specific aromatic blends. Now, C&D's what is that? Autumn Evening. I've never had a cigar that tasted like pancakes, but the Autumn Evening does taste like pancakes. Camacho's is a good cigar. One that I would normally have. I mean, seriously, there's a brand out there that right now, I'm telling you, I don't know where they hired one of their new master blenders from, but Rocky Patel used to be that you could take the band off of a Rocky Patel and hand it to somebody and they would tell you, oh, it's a Rocky Patel, because they all tasted exactly the same. But in the last couple of years, Rocky Patel has actually come a long ways. They have put together a lot of different flavors out of their cigars. They've moved forward. And that forward progress that they've made has been very exciting. It's caught in a lot of the cigar world completely unawares. And, well, if you're just a pipe smoker, you obviously have never heard of them really. But they have really seriously advanced a lot. But yes, Camacho. They are under the Davidoff umbrella. It used to be you could get a Camacho and about 1 out of 80. 1 out of 80 is pretty good, okay? But 1 out of 80 would just be a turd. Since Davidoff bought them out, that's really closer to like 1 out of 1,000. But Davidoff is real stickler about saying, hey, look, our brand's going to be great. Great, 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 great. And you pay a little more for the price, but the Camachos, they have come up a lot. And a lot of that is from the Davidoff influence. Oh. Any more questions on cigars or I mean, there's a bunch of other little things that I've obviously glossed over. Oh, one of the things I was discussing yesterday on Mike's live broadcast was how distance can greatly affect flavors. And what I always use to describe this is, you hear about a cigar that says Nicaraguan tobacco, and immediately your mind should think pepper. It's going to have a peppery kick to it somewhere. And you're wrong. A cigar rolled completely out of Jalapa Valley tobacco will be creamy, smooth, with faint touches of caramel, and it will not have the peppery that you're going to be going like, oh wait, there's pepper in there. It won't have that. That's 50 miles from Esteli. Jalapa Valley is 50 miles from Esteli. There is a mountain between them. And the volcano comes up, the ash comes up against this mountain, and it settles back down into the Esteli region. The volcanoes are actually out on Lake Nicaragua. Way on the other side of that mountain is the Jalapa Valley. They don't get the same volcanic soil, so they don't have the same nutrients coming up, so it will change the flavors. It's that easy. Now, you want something completely different, you have to start looking for the folks at Plasencia. Don't ask me to spell Plasencia, and no, it's not placenta, but it's Plasencia. Plasencia actually grows tobacco in the valley between the two volcanoes. And the soil there is so wrong for everything else. But they get a constant minerals coming up from the volcanoes that settle down right there in between. And it's perfect for a certain strain of tobacco, which goes into Plasencia cigars, because they're the only people that have permission to grow anything out there on that little strip of land in between the two volcanoes. Well, I appreciate the vote of confidence, and yes, I actually kind of do. Okay, so Robustos are like 7 or 8 euros in Germany or Estonia. Okay, so like double the price of what they are right around here. Maybe a little more or less depending upon the exchange rate. And again, this is actually one of the cheapest cigars on the market. It's not expensive. It's not bad. That's why I like it. It's a not bad cigar for not a hellacious amount of price. But as Mike said on his particular live feed, yes, 5 miles walking distance can greatly affect a certain strain of tobacco in the flavors you get. There's so many instances of that, including what is produced next door. I know of a cigar brand that originally, when they made their first cigars, they were growing on a very small plantation that was next to a banana plantation. They got bigger and they bought the banana plantation, plowed it under, and planted tobacco. Unfortunately, the banana plantation that was just next door was allowing for certain flavors to cross-pollinate onto the tobacco. And when the bananas were no longer being grown next door, now that tobacco that's grown there tastes completely different. That's actual tobacco from year to year grown in the same location, but rain totals, different fertilizer, too much wind, these can all affect how much of a flavor, one way or the other, will be coming out of a certain field. And yes, sun and shade are important, and you can't control it all the time on most of these fields. Gotta remember, these fields are the size of most good-sized residential neighborhoods. Not a block, but the whole neighborhood. Oh, yeah, definitely. If you have a organic product and it is within 200 yards of a Monsanto genetically modified product, you're going to have issues. It will change what you're doing because you're going to have to do some other things, because they don't have to have all of the extra precautions. If they decide that they're going to use a plane and spray chemicals, it can completely float over onto your fields, thereby no longer making your area organically certified. And if you are using pure organics, it can greatly change the flavors. And, groundwater. They've sprayed their field, even if they were 100% careful. They sprayed their field. 2 days later, it rains. That chemical hits the ground. If it slopes into your field, that groundwater will come towards you. We'll probably be on Chad's by the time you get back. Oh, goodness. Being that I've already been on here for 56 minutes. As curiosity, can someone keep a secondary eye on when Chad starts? I didn't bring out the tablet today because of the rain. If it really started raining, I was going to have to basically just stand here and talk to y'all and not worry about sitting down, but I didn't want to have to pick up a lot of stuff. And so, yeah, I'm underprepared, but overprepared for what could have happened. And I'm seeing raindrops have hit within 6 inches of my foot, so I wasn't too far from wrong. Though normally Chad will show up just long enough to say, hey, he's going to start his show. And then fire flies from his fingertips as he rosins up his bow. Oh, wait, no, I went Charlie Daniels. There's nothing wrong with Sir Charlie, other than the fact that he's in the grave now. More is a pity. Good music. So, I'm afraid I've talked y'all's ear off about cigars and might have run a few people off, of which I apologize. Yeah, hour and a half. I'm fairly accurate on my cigar timing. Alright, so we still got about 9 minutes to go. That's not a problem at all. And hey, we never know. Chad might be running late today. That just means I run over. It's okay, I'm with people I like, so why not? So is everybody really interested in seeing the Martin show today? He is giving away a tamper. I'm not eligible. But it's one of them 410 tampers, and they are freaking awesome. Well, I think they're awesome anyway, so they're awesome. So was everybody's Thanksgiving, or in Boris's case, I'm not sure if y'all have Thanksgiving. Uh, was your Thursday at least really good? One of my cats is coming up through the wet. Teddy bear. Teddy bear won't come up to me. Chad comes on right at about 4 o'clock. Normally. It's 3:54 right now, so I'm watching to see if there's a notification that Chad starts a live. I'm hoping we get over 60 tonight, because over 60 is a piece of briar also. We were so close. I mean, 58, that's splitting hairs. So I think we can do it. I think it should be done. Especially with the fact that he's giving away a tamper tonight, whether or not someone spins the wheel and gets it. Steph, I'm a morning folk also. Believe me, I'm a morning folk. You would not believe how many times I have had long, drawn-out conversations with Phil at Briar Report. And we know that God's not even up yet. We'll chat from like 3 to 4 o'clock in the morning. I know that's 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the morning for him, but still it's 3 o'clock in the morning for me. Come here, teddy bear. Oh, he's soggy. Yeah, he is soggy. You're locking up the phone for the entire week starting on Sunday? You must have a lot of art projects that are due. I feel bad for Boris because literally he is 6 or 7 hours on the other side of that time zone, and it's hard. Just want to reset. I understand, Steph, I understand. There are times where I want that reset my own self. Oh, my goodness. I just realized I did all of this talking without anything to drink because I didn't bring a drink out. Oh well, it's my fault. Oh, things of interest. My finger from almost 3 weeks ago now has finally healed up enough that it's no longer itching like crazy. Right, right. Yeah, that's 7 hours on the other side of this particular time zone is massive. That you know us as well as we know you is truly a testament to you being a night owl. Did you catch any of the football games, Boris? Texans won. Beat Detroit. And then the football team formerly known as the Redskins beat Dallas. And I didn't watch any of it. It's time to trim the mustache. They're hanging down far enough on the lip that I'm tasting them. Well, all right. Was it at least entertaining? Those football games? I would hope so. Of course, it looked like they were all runaways except for the last game. What was it? Tampa Bay and the Rams or something like that? That was actually a close game. But yeah, Dallas got destroyed. Alright, 4 o'clock. Chad ought to be coming on any time now. Alright. So with that thought in mind, I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. And I'm going to get myself ready so that I can watch Chad. For those who are disappointed with this, I can't control Mother Nature, but she can control me. And I apologize about that. As per always, long lives, big bowls, and long ashes. Oh, Chad's still not on yet. Okay, well, if Chad's still not on yet, I'll hang out for a couple more minutes. Oh. And yes, it's still raining. I know it's the only thing Steph and Skip really miss about Houston is that water falls from the sky instead of has to be pumped up from the ground. Not my fault. I didn't do it. I'm back down to one person only. At least it says I'm down to one person. Alright. So let's be fair to Chad. Let's go ahead and get over there and start pounding on his door until he comes on. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure being with y'all today. Thank y'all very much for joining in. I appreciate all of y'all coming in. Y'all take care, and I'll see you soon. Real soon, for those of us going to Chad's. Talk to you later.